Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our main news bulletin. Here are the top stories in our news tonight. Some Lusaka residents express ignorance about the 2024 national budget. ZRA seizes goods with over 1 million kwacha worth of unpaid taxes. An opposition leader threatened to commence contempt of court proceeding against those questioning the eligibility of EDGAR LUNGU. And in international news, Hamas launches major offensive against Israel. And in sports news, Copper Queens qualifies to the third round of Olympics after Mali withdrawal. My name is Zulu. Do join me with the details shortly.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
And now the news in detail. A 60-year-old man who suffered a severe stroke in 2015 that has rendered him incapable of walking is appealing for help with a wheelchair. Isaac Chongo, a former security guard, tells Camnet News that life has been unbearable for him due to lack of mobility. And Mr. Chongo's wife, Nelly Banda, explains that his husband's condition has led them to struggle with house rentals and lack of food. Here's a report.
For 8 years, 60-year-old Isaac Chongo of Lusaka's Kanyama compound has been trapped in his home, unable to walk or provide for his family due to a severe stroke which has paralyzed his body, leaving him dependent on the kindness of others. Every day, Mr. Chongo wakes up to the same routine, listening to the world outside his window, wishing he could be part of it, but his body is a prison and he is powerless to escape. Since 2015, Mr. Chongo has been unable to walk due to his condition, which has also rendered him incapable of providing for his family for the past 8 years. He now turns his hope for well wishes to help with a wheelchair for his mobility.
So from 2015, ukufika na lelo nje kulafi panganda. So uwafia na kwata sana. Nishe uta pantinganda adenti. So kwa kufimpia adenti kwa de shupa. Elo kabidinda fokula ya kliniki nango kufizo no payment the transportation no booking taxi tete kwani sokti na lomba ko wheelchair ingalanja fidisha ko kwa bati na la pakininiki elo kabini ne miti de ati shopa.
Mr. Chongo's wife, Nelly Banda, is his caregiver and lifeline, has every need from bathing him to feeding him and helping him use the bathroom lies on her shoulders. But even his wife's love and devotion cannot ease Mr. Chongo's longing for independence to have a wheelchair for him to move around his house and go outside for a breath of fresh air.
Toilet ni munganda. Panse tete bafumete bakwanisha okuya mukuni na ka toilet kali bakopati kali kwa totuma stairs. So fyonse basitira fyomunganda. So nshishiro ngachakwati bangafurisha ko muri fimo na mo especially na wheelchair. Memi kalire nganda ino ya rent mosture kala sona tukala tukata Maria za 2 months up. 500 do tulipile nganda.
However, she calls for help as avenues such as benefiting from the social cash transfer have proved unsuccessful. Mrs. Chongo explains several attempts to benefit from the social protection funds since 2017 have not yielded results.
Twadilembeshe ko na social cash transfer shine mpya bapera kwa balanda okonka na condition yabo na tawe ndi ambalembeshe kaita pa inombe fya kuchita fya bula. So twatampire mu 2016 ukulembesha ama 2017 yonso kutampa mu 2016 yonso yo balembesha ndalembesha na last year twadilembeshe na mu 2022 2021 yonso twadilembeshe yonse ngaisa tulalembesha mashina land first talifumination yabo na papene sondera ndanalilembesha nomba shaisha na opu nomba naliruzinga no kuruzinga nomba kaili miaka yafula tafibomba.
Mr. Chongo, who once worked as a security guard, no longer possesses the strength to fend for his family. As such, bills for his rented house have accumulated. This is a reminder of the challenges faced by people with disabilities, especially in developing countries like Zambia, where access to basic necessities like wheelchairs is a nightmare. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some Lusaka residents have bemoaned the use of technical language in national documents such as the national budget. One of the residents spoken to by Camnet News, Elfi Hamaila, says the language makes it difficult for a common Zambian to understand and ask questions over it. On Friday, 29 September 2023, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Msokotwane, presented the proposed 2024 national budget, which awaits scrutiny by stakeholders as well as the general citizenry.
Friday, 29th September 2023, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Stumbeko Msokotwane, presented the proposed 2024 national budget to Parliament for deliberations. But some Lusaka residents have complained of the technicality in the language used in the budget, claiming most Zambians do not understand and cannot contribute meaningfully.
The 2024 national budget for this 2023, I can't even understand it. Simply because of the English they have used on that one. It has to be simplified so that someone can understand. For us poor people in the compounds, you can't even get what is there on the budget.
Understand. The reason why is that there are some technical words they are using that stitched to understand. So I think they should bring it down, but elaborate further and then make people understand by using a code language. So illiterate, so we should understand.
Meanwhile, economist Yusuf Dodia has backed this cause, saying there's need to translate keynotes in the budget into local languages for everyone to.
Doing the translation of the budget into local languages, the highlights, would be very, very useful. You know, the budget is quite a big document, but it's possible to pick up the highlights and to translate the highlights into local languages so people can see the impact of the budget on their lives. And this shouldn't be something very complicated to do.
The Zambian government intends to spend about 177.9 billion kwacha in 2024, but how many Zambians understand this? Vincent Piri, Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA, has impounded 2 trucks and seized over 33,660 boxes of cosmetics and over 5,000 boxes of assorted goods. ZRA Public Relations Manager Oliver Nzala says the goods were declared as transit destined to the Democratic Republic of Congo when in fact not. Mr. Nzala says offers trailed the 2 trucks from Kalomo to Lusaka, where the 2 trucks started offloading the goods when officers impounded on them. He says government was going to lose close to 1 million kwacha due to the 2 trucks invading to pay taxes. Mr. Nzala says the authority will now start paying all whistleblowers to curb illegal import of goods, which has been distorting the market price and bring about unfair competition.
Through Intel, we had 2 trucks. But it was the same importance. So these goods were declared as transit goods destined for the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. And you know what happens with transit goods. Once they are declared as transit, they do not pay any duties. But of course, there's a bond guarantee. So they only paid about 500 kwacha, which is a SCUDA processing fee. However, through that intel, our officers trailed those trucks yesterday all the way from Kalomo to Lusaka, and throughout the night we kept surveillance so that we could ascertain exactly what was happening to these trucks and their goods. So upon seeing that they started offloading, by the way, when they are declared as transit goods, we put these seals. So they started offloading. They also cut or broke these seals, which is also an offense because those goods have been declared as transit goods destined to another country. So when they offloaded the goods, we pounced on the importer and we took them to task to ensure that whatever has been lost in terms of taxes is recovered.
Human rights activist Michael Zulu is concerned with the struggle by law enforcement agencies to conclude corruption cases within a 90-day period, despite pronouncement by President Hakainde Hichilema. Mr. Zulu says the delays by the law enforcement agencies to conclude cases is slowing down the fight against corruption. Earlier this year, President Hichilema had declared that corruption cases in courts should be resolved within 90 days, highlighting the government's implementation of systems and conditions to expedite the said cases. Details in the following report.
Earlier this year, President Hakainde Hichilema declared that corruption cases in courts should be resolved within 90 days, highlighting the government's implementation of systems and conditions to expedite the said cases. Up to now, no notable case has been concluded within a 90-day period. Human rights activist Michael Zulu says the delay by the law enforcement agencies to conclude such cases is slowing down the fight against corruption.
The slow pace with which the fight against corruption is being handled is of great concern to the citizens, especially the fact that the head of state made a pronouncement that cases of corruption would be dealt with within 90 days. We are still seeing nobody being prosecuted or nobody going to jail. Yet, the country is said to be engulfed in corruption.
Mr. Zulu says Zambians are still waiting for the implementation of the presidential directive.
Zambians are waiting for results. While we are waiting, justice is being delayed. Justice is being denied because as we speak, people are dying in the hospitals due to lack of medicines which should have been there. Some people are not going to school today, yet they should have been in school using the monies that have been siphoned by especially people in the government leadership bracket. So we are very concerned and we would like to implore authorities to speed up the fight against corruption.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
New Congress Party leader Peter Chanda has expressed concern over what he terms as extreme breakdown of the rule of law in the country. Mr. Chanda, who was responding to calls by the National Council of Student Unions for the Constitutional Court to repronounce itself clearly and on the matter it made a ruling 2 years ago over former President EDGAR Lungu's eligibility. Mr. Chanda has since threatened to commence contempt of court proceedings against those who are questioning the eligibility of former President EDGAR Lungu, noting that the court has pronounced itself on this matter. Meanwhile, Zambia Republic Party President Wright Musoma has advised the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Zambia Police and the United Party for National Development UPND cadres to give the president the right advice and not deceive him.
It is not an election year already, but debates of whether former President EDGAR Lungu is eligible to stand for the 2026 elections are back. Last Saturday, 30th September 2023, the National Council of Student Unions called on the Constitutional Court to repronounce itself clearly and categorically on the matter it made a ruling 2 years ago over former President EDGAR Lungu's eligibility. The student unions say they are of the view that this case, among many others, did not see the correct ending as expected.
The Constitutional Court is the highest court of jurisdiction in the country, so nobody is challenging a decision that was made. What is happening is that the correct question will be asked to the court.
But New Congress Party leader Peter Chanda says the claim by the unions, which he said are sponsored by the UPND, are baseless, as the court has already pronounced itself on this matter several times.
Extremely worried with the breakdown of law and order in the country. The breakdown of the rule of law in the country has reached an alarming stage. In this vein, I want to state that we condemn any maneuvers by UPND-sponsored students to petition the Constitutional Court to declare itself on the matter that it has declared itself 3 times already. In this case, I'm talking about the eligibility of former President Edgar Lungu. This is a matter that was presided over by the Constitutional Court judges, and a unanimous majority judgment was delivered. Today we have these young people who do not even know but John Soto Wali, no, we are taking, there was an ambiguous judgment that was delivered.
Meanwhile, Zambia Republican Party leader Wright Musoma says the former president Edgar Lungu is eligible to stand in 2026 if he wants to.
Stop Edgar Lungu if he wants to come back to active politics. There is no law. There is no law that empowers you to do that. You can't stop him. The best way for him to stop Edgar Lungu, and indeed all of us who are aspiring to be president in 2026, is for Hakainde Hichilema to deliver.
Mr. Msonda further questions the role of former Nigerian President Obasanjo in the country. He adds that there is no need for President Hakainde Hichilema and his predecessor Edgar Lungu to reconcile, saying if there was need in this regard, Zambia has enough individuals who can facilitate for dialogue between the two leaders.
Even if it were to be so, I don't think Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo, former Nigerian president, would have been the suitable person. In Zambia, we have got credible men of God and the other stakeholders with integrity who can handle that successfully if there is any need to reconcile these two people.
Back to former President Edgar Lungu's eligibility, in 2021, the Constitutional Court ruled that the former president was eligible to stand for re-election in the 12th August 2021 general elections. Vincent Piri, Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The ruling United Party for National Development, UPND National Trustee, Grace Chivuwe, has challenged former President Edgar Lungu to rejoin politics without fear. Ms. Chivuwe says the former president is not restricted to rejoin politics because he has all the rights to do so because the political ground is equal. Ms. Chivuwe alleges that the UPND administration has leveled the political space where even illegal issuance of national registration cards is not being tolerated. She is, however, upbeat that the UPND will scoop the forthcoming Mukubwe local government by-election in Central, scheduled for October 12th in 2023.
By-election, but in 2021, badi chita rigging. Badi rigging omuli monse, ukutenda ama NRC abanaba nono, abali underage, ukupela ama NRC, ama foreigners. Soon the law will follow you, will catch you. Not UPND, but the law will catch you. Badi bapela, badi gingo mutunduri, but still more. Zambians said, no, we can't tolerate this nonsense anymore. Badi banyankula baba fumyako. If you never let and balela and tulebele lapo, tuleba fire na mailori alipa. Bese pepa open, alande Edgar Lungu atilelo nde imina. Takuli no kamuchita fiance, but we are going to hit him hard. Nomba, abantu balela and atakuwa about freedom of expressing yourself. Freedom na abakwata. Compare ama notes. Limbi badi ba aleji kukana mona blood. Freedom badi kwata. This is the reason of ya kuma media. Bushedi kwena muchishinka muri ba PF. Umuntu kuti aya ku media ba muleka muri ba PF.
Opposition leadership has warned Zambians to brace themselves for tougher times, saying the United Party for National Development, UPND, has no means of addressing the cost of living. Addressing the press in Lusaka Saturday, Party Secretary General Jairus Ngoma says the only party that will address the suffering of the Zambian people is Leadership Movement when they win the 2026 general elections. Mr. Ngoma says his party believes in increasing production by employing more youth in the national service and making them produce more food for the country. He says the UPND has no idea on how to reduce the price of essential food commodities because they are selling land meant for the Zambian people to foreign nationals, thereby killing productivity.
does not hold water for them to justify the periodic adjustment Yamafuta. No, because the geopolitics, the war which is going on in Russia and Ukraine, that's why the fuel. It's a scenario like this, you people. Here is Ngoma, he's got plenty of food, very greedy, he doesn't want to share. Now that he's seeing that his food is going bad, that's why now he's calling the neighbor, Bamtengeko mango is. From day one, they showed us they are greedy people. Why didn't they come with their policy to say, we want to attend to the economic challenges? You are even claiming, no, Mirimi is the cheapest in the southern region. Wafunzeni, needed banana successful season, Yamalimit. Because one person wanzao, walichita vindu apamanja patika we should be prepared for another disaster, because quality end up a bomb and Yama statement.
Triumph Foundation founder Hola Kaunda says giving to vulnerable people should be an act that all well-meaning for Zambians should embrace. Speaking when she made the donation of various assorted goods to Home of Happiness for children with disabilities, Mrs. Kunda says Zambians should work together in changing the lives of many vulnerable children through giving and preaching the word of God. Meanwhile, Home of Happiness coordinator Benedict Mindayo says the orphanage is facing a number of challenges and has appreciated Triumph Foundation for constantly helping by providing food to the vulnerable children.
Triumph Foundation, a non-donor organization but fully funded by its founder, Hola Kunda, has continued on its quest to improve the lives of vulnerable and disabled children. The foundation Saturday morning visited Home of Happiness for children with disabilities to donate various items as well as share a meal with the vulnerable children to enable them feel special and loved. Home of Happiness coordinator Benedict Mindel, who is also physically challenged, says the home faces a number of challenges, among them lack of a vehicle to ferry children to the hospital whenever they fall ill, to lack of school infrastructure and food.
Whenever children feel sick, we don't have a vehicle to help us to take them to the hospital. Number two, it's about education. Education, we really need some classrooms here at this orphanage. As we have seen, there are no classrooms. Number three is food. Mami Kunda has really helped us with food. She's always with us in this orphanage.
And Triumph Foundation founder Hola Kunda, who is a regular giver to this home, says she is motivated to continue giving to vulnerable people because it is one way of showing love while preaching Christ to them.
So I would just want to encourage people out there to say, this is Home of Happiness where disabled children are. Let's come on board and help them. And today I'm the most happiest mother to be here to see the children, because we want to see them grow spiritually and mentally and to help them physically.
And Foundation Director General Michael Kaptula says the reason the foundation has continued to give to the most neglected is to make them feel loved.
Doing this probably 4 to 5 years, we've been coming here and supporting the children. So as you can see today, being a special day, we have just decided to come and donate all these things that you have seen here, and also to interact with the children, pray around with them, and make sure that we eat together. In short, we are here to preach love.
And God raises people in order to touch people. So the instance of us to be able to helping these vulnerable, the needy, as Triumph Foundation, is because we are fulfilling the mandate of God.
Meanwhile, the foundation also prepared a meal for the children, which they shared together as a means of showing them that they are not any less special than other people in the world.
Here as the members of Triumph Foundation, as you can see, my friends here, we've come to show love through cooking. As you can see, the different types of food that we are cooking, so that we can just show the people out there to say, as the foundation, we show love in different types of ways.
Important that we ride on the principle of Ubuntu, that we come together as a nation and that we
we are there for the people who need our help the most.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
This is the main news on Camnet TV. We now take our first set of commercials. Do join me with more news after the break.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Are you planning to marry or get married? Contact the Camnet Media team for a professional capturing of your big day in life. Let your relatives, friends and the nation join you in celebrating your big day on television. Just at a manageable fee, Camnet Television will cover and transmit your wedding on your channel of choice. Contact the marketing department on mobile number. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
I give my love to heaven home and as far.
Thank you so much for staying with us. And now in more news, the Sub-Saharan African Farmers Organization has held government step to introduce the Farmers Comprehensive Agriculture Support Program, GASP, before 2023 ends. Organization President Muronda Munyaradzi says this will give life to the Farmers Input Support Program to run as a social protection venture while the needs for farmers is catered for in the CASP. Mr. Munyaradzi hopes of farming blocks, irrigation systems, among others, will promptly be actualized to boost agriculture production for the country.
In 2022, Government announced the need to introduce the Agriculture Transformation Support Program to improve agricultural production. During the national budget presentation for 2024, Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbe Komsokotwane, disclosed that good progress has been made towards the introduction of the Comprehensive Agriculture Transformation Support Program, which will be launched before the end of 2023. The program, which seeks to include extension service support, access to finance, irrigation development, support to value addition, as well as storage and logistics for agricultural products, has chaired the Sub-Saharan Farmers Organization. Organization President Muronda Mnyarazi says that this program is key to boosting the country's production, resulting to being food secure. He says the budget is favorable to the agriculture sector.
Our perspective of the budget as Sub-Saharan African Farmers Organization is that the budget has been very favorable to the agriculture, and we are going to see many citizens now participating in agriculture, because for the first time we are seeing agriculture being treated as an industry which is profitable. And I'm very excited by the budget presented, because it has highlighted the major key areas that have been affecting the farmers, mostly the issues relating to agricultural finance, cost of inputs, and also the other issue of market. So we are quite excited.
Meanwhile, the organization has called on farmers to ensure early maturity agriculture seeds are planted, with a prediction that the country may receive normal to below levels of rainfall in the country.
Please take note that if the rainfall is going to be below normal, we need to do our land preparations early, and we also need to put our crops on the ground early. Make sure all your inputs are in place. As Sub-Saharan African Farmers Organization, we have already organized about 25,000 metric tons of both D compound, which you know is NPK, and we also have enough fertilizer to make sure that our members under the organization, and also those who are working with us under the agricultural loan scheme, which have gone in partnership with World Vision, we are going to be working Northwestern Province this year.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Community Action Against Corruption, CAAC, has called for the amendment of the law which empowers the Republican President to appoint the Inspector General of Police and senior police officers. CAAC Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo says this is in order to restore the independence among them. Mr. Tembo says the Public Order Act is not a problem, but the appointment procedure of senior police officers like the Inspector General makes the police work in favor of the ruling party.
You know, we wish to advise our colleagues who are calling for the amendment or repeal of the Public Order Act not to waste their time in that going that direction. If these people, they understand and they know where the problem is concerning the Public Order Act, they should instead call upon they should call for the amendment of the Republican Constitution, which empowers the Republican President to appoint senior police officers like the Inspector General of Police and the Provincial Commissioners of Police. These are the people who enforce the Public Order Act. And in most cases, when these people go to enforce this act, they act in favor of the appointing authority. So just as long as the appointing authority remains the Republican President, no matter how many amendments we're going to make to the Public Order Act, fair play will not be attained in the political grounds. So what we should understand is the fact that for the past 30 years, the ruling parties have abused the Public Order Act in their favor. The MMD used the Zambia police to abuse the Public Order Act in their favor. The PF, 10 years into power, they abused the Public Order Act through the Zambia police by denying political gathering of the opposition political parties. So we are not very much surprised that the UPND is also delaying in attending to issues concerning the Public Order Act, though we know that the Public Order Act in itself is not the problem. The problem is the Zambia police, in the way they apply the selective nature in which they apply the public.
President Hakainde Hichilema has with immediate effect appointed Peter Mumba as permanent secretary at the Ministry of Energy. The president has since transferred the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Energy, Himba Chelo, to the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries in the same capacity. The head of state has also, in exercise of the powers vested in him, transferred the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Isabel Lemba, to cabinet office. This was contained in a press release issued to the media by State House Chief Communications Specialist Clayson Hamasaka. Still to come in the news, Copper Queens qualifies to the third round of Olympics after Mali withdrew. I will be back with the details after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
That's a report I was given. Ati sayendako bosi ati mzako muntu eka nitupumuleko please tulina mabanja knife speta chambe ni hambo konkera, because if I don't go to their doorsteps the relation is a sira better vis-a-vis. Let me start dealing with this vis-a-vis for my doorstep chambe head on
At your doorstep. Time 11 hours to 12 hours every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and repeats from 18 to 19 hours every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now in international news, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his country is at war. This comes after the Palestinian armed group Hamas launched an unprecedented land and air operation against Israel. Israeli media say at least 40 Israelis have been killed. Here's a roundup of international news.
An unprecedented Palestinian attack on Israel. Hamas says it fired as many as 5,000 short and long-range rockets from Gaza into the Israeli territory. Shortly afterwards, the Qassam Brigades, the movement's military wing, launched a ground assault with fighters breaching the border fence into Israel, some using paragliders. Hamas says the offensive is in response to the desecration of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the crimes of the Israeli occupation.
The time has come to draw the line for the enemy to understand their time is up and they can't keep going without consequences. We are announcing an operation called Al-Aqsa Floods. In the first part of it, 5,000 rockets have been fired. It is the time to unite, all the Arab and Islamic powers, to overthrow the Israeli occupation.
Members of the Islamic Jihad armed group in Gaza answered the call to arms. Scenes emerged of Palestinian fighters attacking Israeli military checkpoints, looting, seizing and burning vehicles, and taking Israeli soldiers and civilians prisoner.
They are prisoners of war, they are soldiers.
The area's border crossing between Gaza and Israel has also been breached, and members of the Qassam Brigades fought with Israeli forces at a police station in the city of Sderot. Medical sources say hundreds of people have been injured and taken to hospital. The Israeli government was quick to respond, declaring a state of war alert and warning Hamas that it had made a grave mistake. It hammered targets in Gaza and approved the call-up of military reservists.
We are at war, not an operation. Hamas has launched a murderous surprise attack against the state of Israel and its citizens. I ordered first of all to cleanse the settlements from the terrorists who had infiltrated, and ordered a large-scale mobilization of reserves. The enemy will pay a price he has never known.
But for now, there are scenes of joy and celebration in some occupied territories. Palestinians in Ramallah and Hebron in the occupied West Bank out on the streets in support of the fighters. Gaza has witnessed many violent confrontations with Israel, but all signs indicate this one might be the worst yet. Mohammed Val, Al Jazeera.
Liberia is set for its presidential election, which will take place across the country on Tuesday, October 10. 19 candidates are vying to replace President George Weah, who is seeking a second term. If it goes to a second round of voting, 3 stand out as possible rivals to Weah. A former football star, who in 2017 won more than 61% in the second round. Today, the 57-year-old is campaigning hard to convince Liberians he can still improve their lives. Losing candidate in the final round of voting in 2017, Joseph Boakai looks to be on his last bid for the presidency at the age of 78. He has served the state for 4 decades. There is also Alexander Cummins, a 66-year-old who has presented himself as a good manager with skills and knowledge from a long career in business that his rivals do not have. More than 2.4 million voters are registered for the presidential and legislative election to choose 73 MPs and 15 senators out of the country's 30 at the end of their term of office.
And now in sports news, the Zambia women's national team has qualified to the 3rd round of the Paris 2024 Women's Olympic qualifiers following the withdrawal of 2nd round opponents Mali. FIFA head of qualifiers and international matches, Gordon Savic, confirmed Mali's withdrawal in a letter to the Football Association of Zambia, FAZ, stating that the back-to-back qualifiers have been cancelled. Savic says the first direct consequence is the cancellation of both legs between Mali and Zambia, which were initially due at the end of this month, automatically qualifies the Chipolopolo for the 3rd round that is due in February 2024. The first leg of the 2nd round qualifier was initially scheduled for Independence Eve in Bamako on 23rd October, with the return leg penciled for Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Dola at the end of October. The locally assembled Copper Queens will now focus on returning the COSAFA Women's Championship in South Africa, while a full-strength squad will end their busy year with the 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2nd round qualifier against Angola in November and December. On that interesting note, we've come to the end of the news, but before I go, let's take a look at the stories making headlines. Some Lusaka residents express ignorance about the 2024 national budget. ZRA seizes goods with over 1 million kwacha worth of unpaid taxes. An opposition leader threatened to commence contempt of court proceedings against those questioning the eligibility of EDGAR LUNGU. In international news, Hamas launches major offensive against Israel. And in sports news, Copper Queens qualifies to the 3rd round of Olympics after Mali withdrew. We now look at our Camnet verse of the day, coming from the book of Ephesians 6, verse 11 to 12. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Thank you so much for watching. It is good night for now and pleasant viewing.